What would you do if the woman who married your father called just to gloat that she sold your family home to teach you a lesson? I'm Natalie Mitchell. I'm 27, and just days ago, I got the most infuriating phone call of my life. I sold your house to teach you a lesson about respect, she sneered. That voice, Patricia, my stepmother. Or as I now think of her, the woman who nearly dismantled my father's legacy out of spite. She said it like she was proud, like she'd finally won some twisted power game. The house she was talking about wasn't just any house. It was our house, the one I grew up in with my dad, the one filled with Sunday pancakes, treehouse memories, and the creaky old floorboard in the hall that I could never sneak past as a teenager. Patricia's voice dripped with satisfaction. The new owners move in next week. She even had the audacity to call it a fresh start. I paused, let her sit in her smugness for a moment, and then I answered calmly and clearly, "Good luck with that." Because what she didn't know, what she never saw coming, was that I had met with my dad's lawyer a month before, and the truth was about to hit her like a freight train. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back. Growing up, it was always just me and Dad Robert Mitchell. He was my whole world. My mom left when I was 4, and from then on, my dad became everything: my protector, my provider, my biggest cheerleader. He built a successful construction company from the ground up, worked long hours in steel-toed boots, and came home every night smelling like sawdust and hope. Our Victorian home on Maple Street in suburban Michigan wasn't just shelter, it was a symbol of what we built together. Every Sunday, he made banana pancakes in his old flannel pajamas. Every summer, we fished on Lake Michigan and grilled what we caught. He taught me how to change a tire, how to look someone in the eye during a handshake, and how to never let anyone tell you your worth. But even good men have blind spots. 5 years ago, Dad met Patricia at some fancy charity event downtown. I was 22 in college, and honestly, just relieved he seemed happy again. She was charming, said all the right things. She laughed at his jokes, praised his business. She even pretended to love old homes and restoration work. They dated 6 months before he proposed. The wedding was small, tasteful. Patricia wore pearl earrings and smiled like she belonged. And maybe in those early months she really did love him. But it wasn't long before things started to shift. She began updating the house. Our soft lived-in furniture was replaced with stiff modern pieces. Everything had to be white, sterile, expensive. It no longer felt like home, it felt like a showroom. Still, I kept visiting every weekend, sitting through her forced small talk and fake smiles. Dad didn't see it. He just wanted her to be happy, and I didn't want to ruin that for him. But then last year, everything changed. Dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, the kind of diagnosis that stops the world cold. And Patricia, the woman who had played doting wife in cocktail dresses and catered brunches, vanished. Not physically, oh no. She was around, but her headaches started. Her emotional exhaustion flared. She couldn't drive him to treatments, said hospitals made her anxious. So I took family leave from my job. I moved back into my old bedroom. I became his nurse, his driver, his everything again. Patricia moved into the guest room. She started spending her days at spas and lunches with her grief support circle, but rarely showed up when Dad needed her most. She'd flinch at the oxygen machine's beeping, complain that it disturbed her sleep, and I once caught her muttering about how this wasn't what she signed up for. But Dad, even in pain, even weakening, he saw more than he let on. One quiet afternoon while she was out, he squeezed my hand and whispered something that I will never forget. "After I'm gone, go see Marcus Reynolds. He has something for you." Marcus, his attorney and college buddy, Dad's right-hand man for all things legal. I nodded. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I promised. 3 months later, Dad passed. At the funeral, Patricia wore a designer black dress dripping in pearls and posed like a grieving widow for every camera. But her eyes dry, her emotions scripted. She even checked her watch twice during the eulogy, and my grief. It irritated her, as if my real heartbreak dared to upstage her performance. 2 weeks later, we met at Marcus Reynolds' law office to read the will. Patricia showed up in a tailored suit, her nails gleaming, her face flawless. I wore the blue dress Dad always said brought out my eyes. Marcus began reading the terms. The house, the business, the financial accounts, all left to Patricia. To me, a small trust fund, and Dad's beloved car collection. Patricia looked over at me like she had just won the lottery and wanted me to clap. I tried to hold it together, but inside I was shaking. The house, my home, my memories, my whole childhood was gone. Just like that, no. Something didn't add up. That night alone in my apartment, I stared at the ceiling, and then I remembered his whisper, "Go see Marcus." The next morning, I sat across from Marcus Reynolds, my father's longtime attorney, and one of the few people Dad ever fully trusted. He didn't waste time with small talk. "Natalie, your father made me promise to speak with you privately after the will reading," Marcus said, sliding a thick manila envelope across his oak desk. "What I'm about to tell you was very important to him." My throat tightened. My heart was thudding in my chest. Marcus leaned forward. About 8 months before he passed, when his prognosis became clear, Robert came to me, deeply concerned about Patricia. He opened the envelope, revealing a stack of official documents, legal stamps, signatures, deed transfers. Your father believed Patricia married him for financial gain, and the way she treated him during his illness only confirmed it. So he took steps to protect what mattered most, this house and you. I stared at the first document, a quitclaim deed, the name on the title mine, Natalie Mitchell, Italy. 6 months before his death, Dad had transferred full legal ownership of the Maple Street house to me. We filed it with the county but kept it confidential, Marcus explained. He wanted Patricia to believe she would inherit the property. He knew if she discovered the truth before his passing, it would make those final months unbearable. My hands trembled as I flipped through tax records, utility statements, and even homeowner's insurance, all updated to reflect my name, all set up by Dad silently behind the scenes. "Everything has been handled," Marcus said gently. "The house is yours, legally, irrevocably." He handed me a smaller envelope, this one handwritten, Dad's handwriting, to Natalie. I opened it slowly. Inside was a letter, one I'll never forget. "My dearest Natalie, if you're reading this, I'm gone and you've done what I asked. I'm sorry for the secrecy, but I needed to protect you and our home from Patricia. That house holds the spirit of our family. I knew you'd understand its heart. Be wise. Be strategic. Let Marcus guide you. I am proud of you always. Love, Dad." The tears came hard and fast. That letter wasn't just paper. It was proof that Dad saw the truth, that he believed in me, that he had not left me behind. "What should I do now?" I asked Marcus, wiping my face. "That depends," he said. "You have every right to take possession immediately. Patricia has no legal claim, but sometimes it's better to give people enough rope." So we made a plan. I wouldn't move back in, not yet. I'd temporarily stay with my best friend Sarah just a few miles away. Meanwhile, Marcus would quietly monitor the situation. "If Patricia tries to sell, renovate, or even remove a fixture, it's illegal," he assured me. "And the more she does, the stronger your case becomes." That night, I returned to the house while Patricia was at a spa retreat. I packed essentials, photo albums, my grandmother's quilt, Dad's favorite books. Irreplaceable things Patricia might destroy out of spite. As I was loading the last box into my trunk, she pulled into the driveway in her luxury SUV, stepping out with a shopping bag and a smug smile. Finally accepting reality, she asked, arms crossed. "Just getting organized," I replied, keeping my tone even. She leaned against her car, practically glowing with condescension. "I've got a real estate agent coming tomorrow. This neighborhood's hot. I could make a fortune." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. She had no idea what was coming. The next few weeks tested every ounce of patience I had. 3 days after I moved into Sarah's guest room, I returned to pick up the last of my things, only to find the locks changed. I called her. She answered sweetly, Oh dear, did I forget to give you the new keys? I've just been so scattered since the funeral. Security is important, you know. I reminded her I still had personal belongings inside. Of course, sweetheart. How about next Tuesday between 2 and 4? I'm so booked lately. But Tuesday came. And instead of letting me in, she scheduled a house showing. A showing. With strangers. Wandering around my childhood home. Across the street, I watched from my car as a coming soon sign went up in the yard. I called Marcus immediately. She's showing the house. She's actively trying to sell it. Can she do that? She can try, Marcus said. But any sale she makes is fraudulent. Take photos. Document everything. Let her dig the hole deeper. It's a strange feeling watching strangers walk through the house you legally own, while the woman trying to sell it waves from the porch like she's still the queen of the castle. That day, I sat in my car across from the Maple Street house, hands clenched around my steering wheel, watching Patricia give a full real estate tour. She smiled, pointed out features, even gestured to the backyard like she built the treehouse herself. And that coming soon sign on the lawn, I wanted to rip it out with my bare hands. But instead, I took photos just like Marcus told me to. Document everything he said. Every lie she tells, every showing, every item removed it all strengthens your case. So I waited. I watched. And I gathered evidence. But nothing could prepare me for what I saw the following weekend. Patricia finally agreed to let me retrieve more of my belongings. But when I walked into the house, my childhood home, it felt like a stranger lived there. The family photos were gone, replaced with generic art pieces from some sterile home decor catalog. Dad's chair, the worn leather recliner where he used to read the paper, where he rested after chemo, where he held me during some of the hardest moments of my life, gone. "Where's Dad's chair?" I asked, trying to sound calm. Patricia didn't even blink. "Donated," she said, pouring herself a sparkling water. It was old, ugly, didn't fit the look I'm going for. My stomach twisted. Didn't fit the look she was going for. This wasn't just furniture. This was history, our history. And it didn't stop there. "His book collection?" I asked. She shrugged. "Some professor from the university bought them. $800. Honestly, I was surprised anyone wanted that dusty old stuff. My father's rare first editions, Hemingway, Steinbeck, Baldwin, gone. Sold off like junk. I nearly lost it. But I didn't. Because I remembered the letter. Be strategic. I walked through each room like a visitor in a museum of loss. In the bedroom, I noticed my grandmother's antique jewelry box was missing. "Where's the jewelry box?" I asked. Patricia frowned. "Didn't you already pack it? Or maybe the cleaning crew moved it. They were very thorough after Robert passed. That jewelry box wasn't just metal and velvet. Inside were my mother's wedding ring and my grandmother's pearls. Gone. Stolen." I didn't accuse her, not yet. But deep down, I knew. Every time I left the house, more pieces vanished. And every time I returned, Patricia played the same song Oops Didn't Realize. "So sorry. You should have picked it up sooner." Sarah, my best friend and emotional anchor, was furious. "This woman is gutting your family's legacy like it's an estate sale." "Marcus says we wait," I told her. "If we act too soon, she'll claim confusion. But if she tries to sell the whole house, then it all comes crashing down." Exactly. That crash came 2 months after Dad's death. Patricia called me out of the blue, sounding overly cheerful. "I've decided to list the house officially next week. The market's hot and I want to maximize my return. Return as if it were an investment portfolio. That house has been in our family for 3 generations, I said, voice trembling. "And now it's mine," she replied coldly. "Your father left it to me, not you. Maybe if you hadn't been so disrespectful during our marriage, things would have gone differently." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had driven Dad to every appointment, held his hand through every chemo session, sat by his side through the night while she vanished to her nail appointments and brunches. "You're making a mistake," I warned. "No," she said, her voice dripping with smugness. "The mistake was your father thinking you deserved anything. This is your life lesson, Natalie. Actions have consequences." And she hung up. I called Marcus immediately. She's listing the house. The real estate listing goes live next week. Good, he said calmly. Let her. The more she acts like she owns it, the deeper her legal exposure becomes. When she tries to close the sale, we'll act. But what if someone actually buys it? I can't let strangers take over my house. They won't. Any sale she makes is invalid. But we want her to get close enough to closing that it becomes irrefutable fraud, not just confusion. So we waited. The listing went live 7 days later. I saw the photos. They made me sick. She had staged the house like a showroom, no soul, no memories. It looked like any generic luxury property on the market. Even the backyard treehouse was painted white to match her aesthetic. As the days passed, I drove by often. Patricia was rarely there. She'd already moved most of her belongings to a fancy condo downtown. Neighbors said she was downsizing after her tragic loss. Meanwhile, she kept liquidating Dad's life, his tools, his vintage workshop equipment, even the coat he always wore to Sunday brunch. Every sale cut a little deeper. But Marcus kept documenting, and I kept waiting. And then, it happened. 3 weeks after Patricia's listing went live, I got the call. I was organizing receipts with Marcus when my phone rang. Patricia's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. I sold your house, she said triumphantly. The Bradfords signed yesterday. All cash. 50 grand above asking price. I didn't speak. Closing's Monday, she added, twisting the knife. They're gutting the whole first floor. That hideous wood paneling in the study gone. That hideous paneling. My grandfather installed it himself. Dad and I spent a summer refinishing it together when I was 16. Each groove held Laughter Stories memories, and she thought she could erase it with a sledgehammer and an open floor plan. Is there anything else? I asked, voice steady. Oh, just one thing. Patricia purred. I'm using the money to buy a beachfront condo in Florida. Your father would have wanted me to enjoy widowhood in comfort. I almost laughed. I think my father would have wanted a lot of things, I said quietly. Goodbye, Patricia. And then I called Marcus. She did it. Sold the house. Closing's Monday. Perfect, he said, sounding more satisfied than surprised. We're ready. I'll contact the title company today. The sale can't proceed. The Bradfords will be notified. Patricia's scheme ends here. What about them? I asked. The buyers. They didn't do anything wrong. No, they didn't. Marcus agreed. But they'll be protected, and unfortunately, they'll also be furious at her. Just hours later, the dominoes started falling. Marcus sent the deed transfer My Deed to the title company. He included all supporting documents, tax records, utilities, notarized affidavits. It was airtight. We didn't even need a court order. The property legally belonged to me. Less than an hour later, my phone exploded. First a call from Patricia, then another, then 3 texts back to back. What have you done? The title company says there's a problem. Fix this. If this is a trick, you'll regret it. I forwarded everything to Marcus. Don't respond, he advised. Let her stew. Let her panic. Every reaction adds fuel to our fire. That evening, Patricia showed up at Sarah's apartment. She pounded on the door, yelling my name like a scene out of a courtroom drama. Sarah and I watched through the peephole. When neighbors peeked out, Patricia instantly shifted tone. I'm just so worried about Natalie. She's unstable. I'm trying to help her. She lied so easily it made my skin crawl. Eventually, she left a crumpled envelope taped to our door. Inside, a handwritten note demanding I stop sabotaging her future and threatening mutual destruction if I kept making baseless accusations. That night, Marcus called again. Meeting scheduled. Saturday. Everyone will be there. Patricia, the Bradfords, both agents, the title company, you, me. Should I be nervous? I asked. No, he said. You should be proud. Your father's plan worked. I didn't sleep that night. I kept hearing Dad's voice. Be patient. Be strategic. I'm proud of you. Sarah helped me pick an outfit, nothing flashy, just a clean navy blazer and the white blouse I wore for job interviews. Something that said, I'm not here for drama. I'm here for truth. Saturday morning. I walked into Marcus's office with my head high. Patricia was already there, dressed like she was attending a charity gala. Designer heels, pearls, black dress that screamed, "wealthy widow." Her real estate agent Diane sat beside her, scrolling nervously through her phone. Across the table were Thomas and Emily Bradford, sharp professional, clearly annoyed. Their agent Jeffrey shuffled documents with a pale expression. At the far end of the table sat Ms. Garcia from the title company, calm, professional. Patricia didn't even let me sit before snapping, "Can we get this over with? I have a hair appointment at noon." Marcus ignored her. "Thank you all for coming. Ms. Garcia, could you explain the issue?" Ms. Garcia opened a folder. During the standard title search for 247 Maple Street, we discovered that Patricia Mitchell is not the legal owner of record. She slid a document across the table. The property was transferred 6 months ago to Natalie Mitchell via quitclaim, deed signed and notarized by Robert Mitchell. The Bradfords looked stunned. "This is absurd," Patricia barked. "Robert left me that house in his will. I have the will." She slammed a folder onto the table. Ms. Garcia reviewed it calmly. "The will is valid, but the deed transfer occurred before Mr. Mitchell's death. Therefore, the house was no longer part of his estate." Patricia's face flushed. "This is forgery. He would never do that without telling me Marcus slid another document forward. Here's the notarized deed, with confirmation from the notary. We also have supporting statements from Robert's doctor and 2 witnesses confirming he was of sound mind." Thomas Bradford leaned forward. "Are you saying we've been buying a house from someone who doesn't own it?" "Precisely," Marcus said. "Any sale would be fraudulent." Emily's voice cracked. "We put down a $20,000 deposit. We gave notice on our apartment. We move out next week. Jeffrey looks sick. We were assured the title was clean." Ms. Garcia frowned. "We were rushed through with a preliminary commitment at Patricia's request, based solely on the will." Diane, Patricia's agent, stammered. "Patricia told me it was all in order. She promised." Patricia was unraveling right in front of us. She stood trembling as if fury alone could erase the truth. He wasn't thinking clearly. He was sick. Natalie manipulated him. She stole that house. Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his folder and pulled out one final document, a letter. This, he said calmly, is a sealed statement from Robert Mitchell, signed, dated, and witnessed, written during his treatment. He requested it be shared if the deed transfer was ever contested. He handed it to Ms. Garcia. The room went silent as she read. Patricia's breathing grew shallow. Her pearl necklace strained against her neck. Ms. Garcia looked up. "This letter outlines Mr. Mitchell's intention to protect his daughter and the family home from Patricia, whom he suspected of marrying him for financial reasons. It details her behavior during his illness and confirms his full mental clarity when he signed the deed." Patricia collapsed back into her chair, her composure gone. "You turned him against me," she said through clenched teeth, eyes locked on me. "He always chose you." I didn't flinch. "He didn't choose me over you, Patricia. He saw you, and what you really were." Her face cracked. "You have no idea what it's like being married to someone who never really lets you in. It was always you two, your traditions, your jokes, your history. I was just an outsider in my own home. I wanted to scream, 'You made yourself an outsider,' but I stayed still. You were welcome," I said quietly, "until the moment you treated him like a burden and the house like a trophy." Thomas Bradford cleared his throat. "Fascinating as this is, we need to talk about restitution. We've lost time, money, and our place to live. You'll be refunded your full deposit," Ms. Garcia confirmed. "The funds are in escrow and will be released today." "And our moving expenses?" Emily asked sharply. "Storage, temporary housing, legal fees, Jeffrey." Their agent jumped in. "You may have grounds to sue for damages based on misrepresentation." Diane, Patricia's agent, turned pale. I was told the title was clean. Patricia insisted the will was all we needed." Marcus tilted his head. "Did you verify that claim with a county deed search?" "Well, no. She was the widow." I took her word. Thomas stood up. Unacceptable. Jeffrey, send a formal notice. We'll expect full compensation by Monday. Patricia panicked. You can't sue me. I didn't know. I thought it was mine. Ms. Garcia shook her head. You signed documents affirming sole ownership. That's fraud, or at best, negligence. But I was his wife, Patricia cried. For 5 years, and I was his daughter for 27, I replied. He chose to protect what mattered. Marcus laid out the final blow. Dr. Levine, Robert's oncologist, has provided a statement affirming Robert's mental capacity. So have 2 hospice nurses and 2 close friends, all ready to testify. Patricia blinked. This is a temporary setback. No judge will uphold this transfer once they hear the truth. What truth? I said calmly. That you sold everything you could get your hands on, that you tried to profit off his death before the body was even cold, Marcus added. We have receipts from consignment shops, statements from neighbors, even auction listings, items removed from the home without the legal owner's consent. That stunned her into silence. The Bradfords stood to leave. We've heard enough, Thomas said. We'll be in touch. As they left, Marcus turned to Miss Garcia. Please ensure all listings are pulled. No more showings. Already done, she confirmed. Everything was frozen after the title alert. Patricia just sat there, alone, defeated, cornered by her own greed. Where am I supposed to go? She finally whispered. That house was my future. It's not your future, Marcus replied. It was never yours. All eyes turned to me, and I finally said what I'd waited months to say. You have 48 hours to remove your personal belongings. Anything that belonged to my father or predated your marriage stays. An inventory team will supervise. After that, you're trespassing. 48 hours, she sputtered. That's impossible. You've had 3 months to prepare, I reminded her, and spent it selling my family's history. Some of those things are already gone. She shrieked. How do I return what I sold? You'll provide financial restitution, Marcus said, or face legal consequences. Patricia slumped in her seat, eyes hollow. You don't understand. He always put you first. He put his family first, I said, and you were only ever part of it on paper. The next morning, I arrived at the house with Sarah and 2 off-duty officers Marcus had arranged to supervise Patricia's move-out. Her luxury SUV was already in the driveway. She looked nothing like the icy, composed woman who once barked legal threats from a leather seat across a conference table. Her blouse was wrinkled. Her hair was frizzy. Her eyes hollow. I need more time, she said immediately. 48 hours isn't enough. You've had 3 months, I replied, and you spent them liquidating what wasn't yours. She said nothing, just stepped aside to let us in. The house, my childhood home, was chaos. Half-packed boxes, walls stripped bare. My father's desk, gone. The antique clock from the hall, gone. The Persian rugs, his favorite armchair, the oil paintings, all gone. I moved silently through each room as the inventory specialist, Helen, began her meticulous documentation. She cross-referenced a list Dad had prepared with every remaining item, every photograph, every scratched-up bookshelf that still held meaning. In the master bedroom closet, I noticed something strange. A box, tucked behind Patricia's designer clothes, labeled Goodwill, inside my grandmother's jewelry box, and beneath it, photo albums she swore were ruined in a flood, intact, pristine. Sarah, I called, holding the jewelry box tightly. She never got rid of them. She hid them. Sarah photographed everything for the record. Patricia appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. I was going to return those. In a box marked Goodwill, Sarah shot back. Nice try. Helen continued her work while the movers hauled Patricia's remaining personal items, just the few pieces she could prove were purchased from her accounts. And when I say few, I mean very few. Dad had paid for everything. She had never contributed a dime. By the end of the day, the house was finally empty of her. She paused on the porch one last time. I did love him, she said quietly, in my own way. I didn't respond, because love doesn't look like what she did. She walked to her SUV, climbed in, and drove away. No dramatic final plea, no apology, just the sound of tires on gravel and the soft slam of a door that would never be hers again. In the weeks that followed, I began the long work of restoration. I moved back in, repainted the walls Patricia had stripped bare, replaced missing fixtures, hunted antique shops for rugs and frames that felt like home. Sarah came over, often helping me hang Dad's old photos. We laughed, we cried, we made Sunday pancakes just like he used to. And then one quiet morning, while clearing out the attic, I found it. A loose floorboard near the chimney, underneath a fireproof box, inside the original deed from my grandparents. My mother's wedding and engagement rings, and a USB drive labeled for Natalie. I brought it downstairs and plugged it into my laptop. It was full of digitized photos, videos of birthdays, Christmas mornings, backyard barbecues, and one final video message from Dad. His voice was weaker, his eyes tired, but his smile was the same. "If you're watching this, sweetheart, you made it. You found your way. I always knew you would. The house is yours now, but it's just walls and a roof until you fill it with love. Make it yours. Make it ours again. That's all I ever wanted." I sobbed, grief and joy entwined. He had thought of everything, even from the other side of goodbye. My father was still guiding me home. Marcus later confirmed the final legal victory. Patricia paid restitution for the heirlooms and signed an agreement never to contest the deed again. The Bradfords reached a settlement, too refunded, reimbursed and grateful that justice had been served. I even met them one afternoon to thank them. Emily hugged me tightly. "Your father must have been incredible. To protect you like that, it says everything. He was. And now the house lives on, not as a monument to pain, but as a testament to love." 6 months later, I hosted my first dinner party. Friends, neighbors, laughter bouncing through the restored hallways. Dad's record player spinning softly in the background, his tools back in the garage, his chair found in an estate auction and restored back in the den. The heart of the home had returned. And now I ask you, have you ever had to fight for something that was rightfully yours, or faced betrayal from someone you should have been able to trust? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if this journey moved you, if you felt the heartbreak, the fury, the justice, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story with someone who might need it. Because sometimes the deepest betrayals don't require shouting, just preparation and patience. Until next time.